Hi everyone, my name is George Packard with Family Lawn and Landscape. Today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about how to find an honest, reliable landscape company. I'm going to give you the following tips, and hopefully this will help you make a good decision on selecting a good company for you. The first thing I'd like to tell you is ask you, do they answer their phone when you call? We have people that are assigned to our phones. We have an actual office setting, which a lot of people don't, believe it or not, nowadays. And we answer our phones and we get back to you within 24 hours. Usually we get back to you almost immediately. We've got our system set up so that our people get us the information we need. I'll give you a call. I'll try and set up a time to come and meet with you, or we can do it through email, set up a time, whatever works, whatever's most convenient for you. Pictures of work. I always bring pictures of work when I come to people's house because they like to see things that you've done. Make sure that they do have pictures of work. There's something they can show you that they've done work, like if you're asking them to do a retaining wall. So make sure that they have experience in that particular field. Say, okay, can you show me some retaining walls that you've built, or a paver patio, or new lawns they put in, or plantings, things like that. Make sure they look professional when they come out. Do they look good? Are they in uniform? Are they neat, clean cut? You'll be the judge of that. You'll be able to tell their character right off the bat. Just first impressions are huge. Make sure that they're insured and that they're licensed. A lot of people will tell you that they're insured and that they do have license for the kind of work you're asking them to do. Ask for the paperwork. Ask them to see it. I always carry it with me. I have it in the truck. I can show anybody at any time we carry insurance. And nowadays, you have to have it. You absolutely have to have insurance to cover everything. Even to be licensed to do the work. We make sure that we're 100% legal. We take care of all that paperwork. We're on top of our game. There's a lot of companies out there that aren't, believe me. References. Ask for references. References are a huge part of selecting a company. If they've done retaining walls for people or paver patios, they should have references galore if they've done this work. Ask how many years they've been in experience. You know, what have they done? You know, you'll find out a lot about them just from talking to them and asking those simple little things. And they should give you references to the work that they've done. I mean, we're proud of the work that we've done. We have no problem giving references at all. So make sure, another thing is make sure that you have a clear understanding of the work that's going to be done out there. When you're communicating with them, we make sure, before I leave that day, when I come out to give you the quote, I make sure you have a clear understanding of what we're going to do, what's expected of us, and what's all involved in our estimate. Some companies, they don't quite do that. There's a lot of tricks to it, which I'll get into a little bit later. It's kind of a hairy deal with some companies. They'll bid projects out and they'll give you a low price, and then they'll come back and have add-ons. So you want to make sure that when you get everything, it's locked down and you have a clear understanding of what they're going to do for you. Okay? Do they have a website? If you go on their websites, you can check reviews. You can go on Google, check the reviews. Believe me, people, if they do bad work for people, people will take the time to put bad reviews on their sites. So you can go on there and you can click on their site, type in their business, it'll come up, read the reviews. If there's a lot of good reviews, it's probably a very good company for you. Okay? Check out the Better Business Bureau. That's an excellent source to try and find out more about companies. There again, if they've ticked off people, if they've done shoddy work, if they've done it that bad, where they've aggravated the customer that bad, they'll report them to the Better Business Bureau. So it's a great place to look for them. Do they take credit cards? You know, we're all set up to take credit cards, invoicing, emails, the whole 9 yards. So we try to make life simple for you and make it as easy for you as possible. How long have people been in business? You know, that's another thing to ask. And if they're new in the business, they're probably not a good fit, especially if it's like a retaining wall or paver patios, things like that, because those take time to learn and to do correctly. A lot of people like to take shortcuts in that kind of work, so you have to watch that stuff. I could do a whole video on the shortcuts that people take in landscaping. Just because I've been around for 15 years, I've seen it. I've repaired so many people's projects you wouldn't believe. But it's something that you need to be aware of, I guess. Do they ask for all the money up front? Usually with our company, always with our company, it's half down and the other half when the job's complete. When people come in and they want all the money up front, that should be a red flag to you. You should automatically get away from that person, because you could pay them that money, and I've seen this. I had a friend of mine that was a landscaper. He lost $15,000 on a project. He never got a dime up front. He trusted the people. He went in there. He lost his butt on it. There's other companies that other customers that I've heard stories from where they've given people all this money and they never saw the landscaper again. So you never ever want to do that. Half down is acceptable. That's a standard in the industry, and that's what you should do. Let's see. Start and completion dates. Will they give you a time when they're going to be there? A lot of people will tell you, I'm going to be there in 3 weeks, and 3 weeks comes and goes, and a month later you still can't get them and get them on the project. I mean, I can understand if there's rain or something like that that comes in where they have to work around it, but we try to give everybody a starting date and a completion date. So be clear on that with any company that you decide to hire, because there again, guys have a tendency sometimes to just kind of drag things out, and I don't like to do that. I like to fill up our calendar, stick to our calendar as much as possible. We'll work Saturdays, Sundays, it doesn't matter. I try to stick to that calendar as much as possible. Make sure they answer your questions. Make sure when, if you don't have a clear understanding when that landscaper leaves, that should be a red flag to you. I mean, if you try to get the answers and you can't get the answers, there's something wrong with that. So make sure before they leave that you get all the answers to your question. If you're still in doubt, call them up and ask them, but get some clarification, okay? Now that'll help you out with your project and choosing a good landscaper. I know myself personally, if I leave your property, I want to know that I've given you 110%, that I've answered every question that you had, and we have an agreement about everything. I don't want there to be a doubt in your mind when I leave your property. Make sure they have a good reputation. Especially in a small town like where I'm from, reputation is everything. Word of mouth, even in the bigger cities, word of mouth it still travels. So if you've heard about this company, that they're a good company, chances are they probably are a good company, because bad news travels twice as fast as good news. So if you hear bad news, there's your red flag. Stay away from them. Do they warranty their work? Make sure that you have that in writing, that they will stand behind their work. Because no matter who you talk to, when you do get that estimate for landscaping, of course they're going to tell you, I'm going to warranty it. Of course I'll stand behind it. Get it in writing. I'm telling you, I've heard one horror story after another. You wouldn't believe the work that we come in and redo. So people have paid a lot of money to have their landscaping done to begin with, and then it falls apart. So now they're out that money. Then they have to call us up. We come there, now we have a lot more work because we have to rip out what was done and then redo everything. So now it costs them even more money than what it would have been if they would have called us initially. So just, again, another thing to watch out for. Are they a pro, or are they jack of all trades, master to none? And what I mean by that is, are they a landscaper? Is that what they do for a living? I think this is important, and I hope you do too. I know some landscapers in my trade are carpet cleaners, plumbers, electricians, concrete workers, just a myriad of things that they do. I'm a landscaper. This is how I make my living. This is how I've done it for 15 years. A list of references a mile long. This is what I do for a living. And if you're hiring somebody to do that, I mean, who would hire? You'd be amazed at the people that hire guys that do all these things, have these cleaning services and wash windows and change oil on your car and just all kinds of things. And yet they want them to come there and build a retaining wall for them. What do you actually expect that retaining wall to look like when they're done? Do you expect that to hold up? Is that their specialty? It's not. So I think it's something that you need to be aware of, okay? Do they offer a contract, or do they just offer a handshake? Handshakes are a thing of the past. I would love to do business on a handshake. I can't do that anymore, and you shouldn't do that anymore either. If they're not willing to give you a contract, if they're not going to put their name behind it, that's a red flag. You should get away from those people. If they're not, that's a complete red flag. They're not going to stand behind their work, okay? Be wary of the lowballers. Something I have to point out to you, and a good example of a lowballer is someone that comes in at, let's say I give you an estimate for $10,000 on a project, and they come in at $7,500 or $5,000. These are low ballers. I've been around the business long enough. I know what it takes to do it. I use quality materials. I don't cut corners. There's a lot of them that do, and I'll give you an example of brickwork. I've had customers tell me this. They say, well, can't you use a cheaper brick or something like that, like if I'm doing a paver patio or something. I've done it in the past. I've used cheaper brick, like from the big box stores. You go buy it, it fades very fast. There's not good color in the brick. It fades very fast. It crumbles. It's not sturdy. It's not constructed well. It's made cheap so that they can sell it. Nationally to all these big box stores, they sell it out to the consumers. Consumers don't know any better. They don't realize that that's cheap brick. Being a landscaper, I've used it for 15 years. I understand it. I watch it crumble. I watch it fade. I don't use it anymore, and I haven't for years. And there's a reason for that. That's the reason for it. I want my work to last a lifetime, or as long as possible. And if I use cheap brick on your job, or cheap seed, or cheap fertilizer, I mean, these are all things that are going to come back to haunt me. So I won't use them. There's guys out there that will. There's guys out there that do. Ask them where they're getting their materials from. Ask them what type of grass seed they're putting on. What type of fertilizer they're putting on. Are they putting on screen topsoil, or does it just say topsoil? Because there's a big difference. Screen topsoil doesn't have any rocks in there, very few. And then unscreened could have all kinds of rocks in it. So, and they'll just kind of bury them or whatever, and they'll just pop up over time. So these are all things that you have to pay attention to. Repairing the work. Anytime, like another example, I know I like to use pavers, we just do a lot of work with those. But pavers and retaining walls. Whenever you come in to work on things like that, the ground around them gets tore up. So when you have a project, you want to make sure that those guys are going to take care of that. And this is another thing low ballers will do. They'll come in and say, yep, I'll install that paver patio for $5 a square foot or something like that. But what they don't tell you is they're not going to do any finish work around it. So if they tear up the lawn all over the place around those paver patios, they're not going to have that in their estimate to fix that. So then they'll come back at you and tell you, hey, it's going to be another $2,500 to fix all of this. So make sure that that's in your estimate when you're looking at it. Make sure you're comparing apples to apples. Okay? There's a lot of different hidden tricks that landscapers use, and anybody in any profession, so it's not just landscapers. But we repair everything that we tear up, and that's in my estimate. It's in my quote. When I leave there, I want it to look better than it did before I got there. That's our whole goal. Okay? Make sure whoever you hire does the same thing. Make sure they're going to take care of that. Make sure that they're going to treat your pavers, and they're going to take care of the lawn and everything that they tore up around it. Okay? Make sure they have a guarantee. We guarantee our work. A lot of them will say they guarantee it. Get it in writing. We'll put it in writing. You should get that from them also. You should get it from anybody, no matter what kind of work you have done. Make sure they're experienced. Again, we have 15 years in this business. We've been around a lot. We do a lot of commercial work. We do a lot of residential work. And it's extremely important to make sure you get someone that has been around, that does know what he's doing, this is his profession. This is what he does. Again, he's not cleaning carpets. He's not a plumber. He's not an electrician. He's not a flat work layer or concrete, or he doesn't do carpentry work. This is what we do for a living. We study it, we know our trade, and we're good at it. One of the other things I like to say is ask them if they own their own equipment. A lot of times you'll see guys come in with rented equipment that they have. Well, there's a reason for that. These are fly-by-night guys. They don't invest in their business. They don't invest in equipment. So when they have a breakdown, or they can't get to your project because they can't rent the straw blower for 3 weeks because it's out at the rental center and it's constantly being used, that's going to put them behind. Or if they can't get a skid steer for a week, things like this. We own all of our equipment. You don't have to worry about us. When I tell you we're going to be there, we're going to be there. The only thing that's going to stop us is if we would happen to have rain in between, okay, that would slow us down. But even then, we'll call you, we'll talk to you, we'll let you know what's going on, keep you in the loop, okay? We're an honest company. Honesty is getting harder and harder to come by. Everybody's out to make a quick buck, and they want to move on. We've been here for 15 years. We own a garden center. We have a great reputation in the community. We're not going anywhere. We've done this by working hard and gaining people's trust. And I know it's a hard thing to do today. I know it is. When I have to hire an electrician or a plumber or someone to work on things at my house or my business, I look at the same things that I'm trying to tell you to look for, because you really have to watch what you're doing, and I understand that, and I'm thankful that you take the time to watch this video to learn some of these tricks and some of these things, tips that you can use to help you make a good decision. I hope you found this video helpful.